Nas went from dropping out of school in the 8th grade to becoming one of the biggest investment kings in the game. Proof? When Jeff Bezos and Amazon stroked close to a $40 million check to Nas. I'm going to share how crazy Nas became with the world of startup investing. And I'm going to reveal 2 startups that Nas invested in that brought him those massive checks. And here's a fun fact. Those 2 paydays aren't even his biggest deals to date. I want you to think crypto. And lastly, I'm going to share how on a smaller scale, with just a few $100s, you can begin startup investing like Nas today. So what was it that possessed Nas to become a startup investor anyway? Something must have clicked in him because he came out of the gates so fast. Look, faster than any investor that I have ever seen before. Look, he must have seen maybe some of his fellow rappers and business mogul friends out there making money, like Jay-Z or Diddy, and he saw how they were actually growing their wealth. Or maybe he just wanted a taste of the thrill of investing in startups. Either way, he literally pushed all in from the very start. So much so that he started his own venture capital firm called Queensbridge Venture Partners. Now, if you know anything about Nas and his history, you'll know that that is a nod to the housing development projects that he grew up in just outside of New York City. Now, I bet his 8th grade teachers didn't expect this when he dropped out of school in 1991. Look, Nas would go on to make 127 investments from 2012 to 2016. Just to give you a comparison, that is more than Jay-Z, Usher, The Rock, Snoop, and Kevin Hart combined. And what's nuts is this all happened in a 4-year span. And since then, we haven't even seen one more investment from Nas. But hey, if you're 127 investments deep like Nas, and you land a few big paydays close to $200 million combined, well, I think you've earned yourself a little bit of a break. And I'm guessing Nas is probably kicked back on his Casper mattress, swimming in piles of cash. Yes, that is another killer investment that Nas made. As a startup investor myself and someone who loves investing in startups, Nas, he's in a league of his own. He's truly an inspiration for investors like me and investors around the world. And he achieved the ultimate goal of any startup investors, and that is exits, paydays. I'm talking about massive returns on his investment. To date, Nas has seen 49 exits. 49 times he made his money and then some. That is crazy. But if we're talking about crazy, you have to take a look at the 2 startups that Amazon bought that brought a huge payday for Nas. Nas invested in both of these startups in 2014, right in the middle of his 4-year investing extravaganza. Now, one of those startups was a failed pitch on Shark Tank. None of the sharks invested in it. They passed on it. The other was an online pharmacy. Now, the Shark Tank failure was bought by Amazon for $1 billion, and the pharmacy was purchased for $750 million. The quick math shows us that Amazon paid close to $2 billion for both of these startups combined. So, what were the startups? Well, I know you've heard of at least one of these, and one of these startups might even be attached to your house. I'm talking about the Ring doorbell. That is the deal that the sharks passed on that was bought by Amazon for $1 billion. The next one, the online pharmacy, is PillPack, and they were bought for $750 million. So, how much did Nas pocket from these deals? Well, it's reported that he made close to $40 million just on the sale of Ring alone. That is insane. Those are crazy numbers. One investment made him $40 million. And he more than likely turned an estimated $250,000 investment in PillPack into close to $4 million. That's a 16 times return. It's impressive, right? But like I said, that's not even his most profitable investment. As a matter of fact, Nas's biggest winner blows both of those out of the water. Look, his biggest investment came from the world of crypto. Nas invested in a company in 2013. It was in year 2 of his investing blitz. And unlike the other 2 deals that were bought in 4 years by Amazon, Nas had to be a little bit more patient for this whale of a deal to mature and to bring him the big money. He actually had to wait 9 years to see his big payday. But when it came, it paid off big, and this startup went public on the NASDAQ in 2021. The startup that Nas invested in was Coinbase, the online crypto exchange. Now, it's estimated that the value of Nas's initial investment would have been worth around $40 to $200 million on IPO day. Now, we don't know if Nas cashed out or not, but this one investment is going to be almost impossible for other investments to top. But you may be thinking, Chris, I'm not Nas. I don't have millions to invest. How do I, a non-gajillionaire like you and me, do startup investing? Well, I'm glad you asked. It's a great question. The cool thing about all of this is that it's no longer just reserved for the super rich and the celebrities to invest in startup. Take me, for example. I started investing in startups in 2019, and I have invested in over 25 startups since that time. Now, I'm not quite to the 147 investment number like Nas, but I am on my way. Look, I've been able to do this because of some laws that changed in 2016 that made it possible for everyday investors like you and me to invest in startups. It's called equity crowdfunding. Now, this isn't the kind of crowdfunding that we're talking about with Kickstarter or Indiegogo. No. This is actually getting ownership, a piece of ownership in the companies you invest in, just like Nas did. And where Nas was dropping hundreds of thousands into each one of these startups, you can invest hundreds of dollars into each one of these startups. So if this sounds impossible or maybe too good to be true, well, because it is. Well, that is until you watch this entire breakdown that I put together on how you can invest in startups and how it all works. And you can check that out right here. And not to miss a beat inside the exciting world of investing in startups, make sure that you join my free weekly newsletter where I dive deep into this world and keep you up to date with all that's happening in this new, exciting path to investing. Hit subscribe. Welcome to the crowd.